Howdy friends, got another unboxing for you today, feeding my Masters of the Universe Origins habit. Before I do, I have something in my pocket that I just found while I was out on a walk. I'd like to show you and I'd like to look at it myself. I just found these paints that were, I live in a neighborhood where people often leave things out that to give away that they don't want anymore. There's all kinds of furniture left around and all kinds of interesting things. These were left out on like a big green cable box thing. So I know they were to be given away, and I saw them and thought, hey, perfect, what a great deal. So I got some yellow, a couple different colors of blue. This one's more of an aqua, I don't know, greenish blue, and this is a blue it looks like. And these look like fancier brands than anything I've bought. These are Folk Art brand. I believe they sell them at Michael's. I've seen them, I think. So these are a couple dollars more than I pay usually for the stuff I buy at Target. So very cool find on that. Excited for that. And with that, let's get into this box. I have it upside down here. Let me flip it back over and see how they shipped it to me. So here we go. So the story on this one, hope these aren't getting gratuitous. All of this opening, it seems like I'm opening figures constantly here. Jeez. I'm not trying to show off or anything. I'm just really excited about these figures. So what happened with this set was couple more figures that I only had one of, that I'd only ordered one of from Big Bad Toy Store, and only had one. You've already seen me unbox them. And now they're no longer available in Big Bad Toy Store, and so I was getting, you know, flustered about, I want two of them now, and those particular figures were getting hard to find, and I'm seeing it on my Amazon now. They're getting up $30 each. Sometimes not even, one of them's not even available at all. So, so I started looking around the private market and found somebody that had a set of 6 figures to sell, which included the 2 which I was looking for, and 4 which I really already have and didn't need, but you know, it's all about feeding this beast. Once you got it in your brain, I gotta have those 2 figures. So let me get into that. So what did we buy and why? Yeah, well, again, it's all to get a deal that I think is a fair price, and that's why I end up spending more than I probably should. Probably could have just got those 2 figures for less money if I had wanted to do. I don't know what this is, Ultra Pro. Interesting, they threw in here. Anyway, yeah, I probably could have spent less money to get just those 2 figures, but I wanted to get a good price on all the figures, so I went ahead and bought 6. So, let me go ahead and get this slightly out of the way so we can show you what we got here. Alright, what's on the top here? Number 1, everybody's seen many times, this is Shelf Warmer Skeletor. I already have 2 of them, as you know, because you've seen one walking around and one in the cloning machine. So now I have a 3rd Skeletor. To justify this, I think I'm going to have to figure out some way to customize them, because I don't think Skeletors are ever going to be hard to find. There'll always be probably plenty of these guys, even after Origins is long gone. I think they'll, you know, people will have them available. So really no justification for buying a 3rd Skeletor. Except for maybe, like I said, if I decide I better customize them or something. So along those lines, I think I might try a dark Skeletor. I've seen a couple other customs where, you know, the armor was black and he was darker skinned, something like that. White face, just a, you know, white skull. So there's an airplane going by, folks, sorry. Yeah, but I think I'll just I might try to make him like a wash with a darker blue skin and maybe a dark purple metallic armor. Shiny metallic purple armor, Queen Jealousy envy waits behind him. Her fiery green gown stares at the grassy ground. Okay, so what else did I get here? Again, to justify this order. So with Skeletor, where's the other one? Gotta get He-Man out. Got He-Man too, so let's go ahead and just get out He-Man and Skeletor. So another one that I'm just had to justify. Oh, sweet, even has the complete card back, not the missing piece there. To justify him, I think the same thing. I'm going to have to figure out some kind of custom to do with him. So, I'm not sure what He-Man's the one I have the least ideas about customizing, because I just like him as he is. Maybe we'll make a black version or a darker skin version like I might do with African She-Ra, but we've already got Clamp Champ, so don't really have to make a black He-Man. So, but I do like Hebro's He-Man and all that stuff. Pretty cool dude Hebro is, as the figure and as the channel guy. So anyway, go ahead and put these 2 further off screen, I suppose. Now we're getting into a little bit more of the meat of the things. So what else did I get along with this package? Alright, Stratos. Stratos you've seen me have, I showed you before I had a problem with a little paint on the side. He had a little blue on the side of the red. This one looks like does not have that problem. I'm looking at them quick here. All these cards are in good shape, I must say. So so far looking really good on that too. I only had one Stratos, but I had one on pre-order at Big Bad Toy Store as well. So the good thing is the one at Big Bad Toy Store I had on pre-order, I think for $18. And I think in this, including everything what I got here, I think would be about $17 a figure. So I can justify that by saying, hey, I saved $1 on a figure. So if I cancel the one from Big Bad, which I probably will, because 2 Stratoses is probably enough. I don't think I'll need 3 of him. I think he's a great army character too. You could have a whole race of Stratos. Obviously there is a whole race of bird people in the show. They're avian egg and everything. But he's not one that I think I'll need a whole. One, I can't animate flying really hard. I haven't figured out the wire thing to make flying happen. So he's not a character I plan to use in videos really until I get much more sophisticated. So anyway, we're working on sophisticated, but we're not quite to that level yet, folks. So now we're getting closer. Hordak here. Alright, so I have 2 Hordaks already. Then justified Hordak as I can always use a 3rd Hordak because he's just awesome. Such a cool looking figure. And I think he's real popular, so you know, if I ever meet someone who doesn't have a Hordak and want to trade with them or give it as a gift to them or sell it to them, something like that, then it's never a bad thing to have maybe 3 of the most popular figures like Hordak. That's how I justified a couple other that I've just recently ordered. 3rd of from Big Bad, because I think they'll be at some point harder to find and popular, unlike these 2 guys who will probably be easy to find even years from now. But yeah, maybe a Hordak in 10 years from now or 5 years from now might be hard to find if someone's just getting into Origins later, like they missed the bus like we did, maybe I did a few months ago. You know, they just catch on, maybe they catch on a year from now and everything's basically, you know, second market by that point. So by then it might be nice to have something like that I'll be able to maybe part with if I, you know, if the right person pulls my leg hard enough. So anyway, now, does anyone want to see the backs? No, you guys have all seen these figures. This is all about the justifying and the buying them, so you can, you know, understand the rationale that we all go through as all of us toy buying kind of addicts go. So now we're getting to the 2 that I didn't, that I needed to get the second one. So we got Ninjor, who originally I wasn't going to buy, but decided, hey, gotta have a second Ninjor because now I like having second figures of everyone. And because I really like, as I said before, I like his cowl, the way that it's textured. This black is textured like it's canvas or something like that, like burlap almost, black burlap. You can see it textured in any case. And he's got that cool decal painted on the front with the dragon and the sword. And he comes with all those great weapons. And red and black, you know, more and more I look at him, the more I can convince myself he's really a cool figure. I think the only thing I don't love about him is his face is mostly covered by a mask. So he just, you know, in some ways doesn't have as much personality as figures that have full faces. So maybe that, you know, that's probably it. So anyway, and the final one, as you've probably guessed, or maybe not, but probably have, Trilops. Another one. Kind of a one that I didn't think I was going to get when I first started buying the Origins figures. Friends had him. I know a friend had him when I was a kid, and I did enjoy playing with him. I think he came with that glow-in-the-dark ring I've seen that he had. I don't know why. Trilops came with him. Anyway, I started liking him more recently because of just the vividness of the green and his armor. I just thought that was so cool. And his sword. I particularly love his long, it's just awesome-looking sword that also Fisto has the same sword. So the real selling points for Trilops for me was his really cool looking sword and his just bright green, vivid, verdant, almost color green armor. I mean, he looked like he just, you know, he could be in a rainforest. That orange and green there, he's like a frog, rainforest frog or something. Very colorful. I like all the bright colors that they're using now. The old colors were cool on the old the vintage time, but you know, the 80s were kind of not a darker time overall, but kind of, you know, we had more of that that hanging cloud of Third World War with the Soviet Union that was kind of always coloring everything back then in the 80s. That's why, so there's so much kind of, you know, Rocky IV kind of pro-America movies, and even He-Man, kind of a big, you know, heroic figure for us. That was kind of in that whole Cold War era. That's, I think, one of the reasons He-Man's not so popular now, is we're not in the Cold War, and we don't really have like that kind of big heroic America feeling, you know. America is as much of a nuisance as it is a help in the world, so it's hard to, you know, it's hard to have like an icon like a He-Man that would represent a force for goodness and justice, because there really ain't one in the real world, right? So maybe kids have caught on to that. Kids are much sharper than people think too. That's another thing. Adults give kids way too little credit for how sharp they are, and we think we need to teach them things that they don't need to be taught. And I think we actually we screw them up by teaching them most of the time. You know the Pink Floyd song, "We don't need no education, we don't need no thought control." It's true. We actually, you know, we could take a lot of lessons from kids, because they're sharper on a lot of things. You know the story of the Emperor's New Clothes. It's the adults who are so conditioned by everyone around them to see the Emperor's clothes that he's not even wearing. But they're so conditioned to agree with the crowd that their own mind is projected and made this clothing they can't see anymore. Kids can see right away, hey, the Emperor's not wearing any clothes, and the adults are like, shut up, kid, you don't know what you're talking about. And then, you know, that's how we condition kids to eventually grow up into adults who say, yeah, those are beautiful clothes the Emperor's wearing. There we go. So don't want to get too much into that spiel, but yeah, let the kids be. Leave them alone, folks, and let them have imaginations. But yeah, that's going back to why maybe the He-Man and Masters of the Universe is harder to sell for the next generation and the kids, as well as the fact that kids always want to have their own thing and their own toys. But I think that is more to do with generation than it is to do with that independence from their parents. They're going to assert their independence from their parents one way or the other. It doesn't really matter if you appreciate the same music as your parents or the same toys as your parents. You're still going to find some way to exert your individuality and express yourself and separate yourself from that, you know, that bond that you start with as a kid. You know, you start with your parent, you're dependent on them, and then at some point you have to become independent of them, and so you have to sort of push off. And you do. That's why we think that kids develop their own, you know, have to have their own toys and all that. And that's why kids actually probably, for many parents out there, may be frustrated. Your kids probably learn more from their own peer group, from their own friends, than they will from you. And that's part of just the natural course of biology, of them trying to learn to slowly become independent and exert themselves. It's also just them adapting to their environment and not the environment you adapted to when you were a child. So, like I said, yeah, when I grew up, the Cold War was going on. It was a different environment. That's the mindset I grew up in, and that's probably, you know, it's part of why we love what we love. It's why, you know, so many things were big. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, a lot of those things that maybe just don't, you know, they're not in time anymore. They're anachronisms. If they were to try to come out now, they don't. That's maybe even why they end up giving them woke agendas and stuff, because that's the politics of today. You know, if you were looking at the Star Trek of the '60s, Star Trek was probably kind of woke for the '60s. You know, they were very egalitarian and no racism, things like that. You know, see everyone as equal, no misogyny kind of thing. See, well, they obviously saw ladies as sort of beautiful, feminine things, and not as like some kind of whatever we saw in the woke world, where we see women as non-feminine, non-sexual things at all in any way. So anyway, I have gone on way too long with the random thoughts and politics kind of stuff. Probably shouldn't go there, but I just like to share whatever's on my mind. That's what these videos are for. They're not just about the figures, because there's plenty of videos where you can see the figures. Other people do a great job of showing you all the features and how they move and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not here to talk to you about that. I'm just here to share with you my joy of collecting them and other random thoughts along the way. So I thank you all once again for joining me on this fun journey of collecting, and that's it. Have a good day. Take care, guys.